All right. As of recording this, it is Friday the 13th. And the goal is to get this shit up so that it still counts as Friday the 13th. But I'm not feeling unlucky. Besides forgetting to fucking eat today, I'm not feeling unlucky because last week I completed my undergraduate degree, bitch. I now hold a BA in creative writing and English. Not gonna lie, finals was traumatic as fuck, and deaf didn't help with my hair loss. But it's over now. I'm a college grad. The time since last week, getting my results, has been spent waiting for them to mail my diploma, just eagerly refreshing my email and checking the mail, because they're supposed to send us a digital copy and a physical one as well. Time has also been spent resting and recovering. I am so incredibly fatigued, man. I've been doing job searching, which of course is scary all the time. Who doesn't fucking get anxious about job search? And especially with the way that the economy is right now in my country and just in the fucking world in general. A lot of people is struggling, right? But I'm choosing to believe this is not insurmountable because I got multiple credentials now. The BA is finally done. And my folks and my family, they've helped me figure out my next moves because I had a certain goal in mind. The degree, getting a degree, but especially getting this degree was a big part of working towards those goals. And I see the path forward. It's just going to take work. It's going to take marketing myself and all that. We all know how it is. We all know how it is, especially when you're an arts person. In addition, I also hope to do some commission work properly now that school is not just looming over my head, you know? Especially for someone like me who has ADHD. Just my mind can get so split, fractured between different responsibilities, and especially when some of those responsibilities require creative energy of a certain sort, it just makes it hard to give creative energy to like fun projects, including this podcast that's been on hiatus for since John Cena retired, right? Um, but yeah, I've finally put something up on Substack, and I'm going to talk more about what I wrote later on in this podcast. So you can feel free to check out Substack, Radio Regine, or my Tumblr, Radio Regine, for more examples of my work and eventually pricing details. I'm going to set up stuff so that if you're interested in me and you want to commission like a little creative essay, you want to commission a little piece of literary fiction, what have you, I'm your gal. On another note, I've also had time to just read and play things more, and just generally take inventory of my influences as an artist now that all those uni deadlines aren't diverting my ADHD mind, I really, really love the collection of reference books I've built up because I think I've mentioned this before, but in case I haven't or you weren't aware, I started out as an art student over 10 years ago. I'm a non-traditional college student. I was an art student, then I stopped. Life happened. Then I was a STEM student for a while, and through that, that's how I started working as a CNA to fund some of my college stuff and thought I was fully going to be like in some kind of health IT or nursing or something. Then life happened again. I was in retail for a while and now we're back at arts. Um, but yeah, I just, all of that chaos and stuff, it makes it hard to kind of, just get your head on straight. But I'm 30 this year. At the end of the year, I'll be 30. And it is true that the closer you get to 30 and beyond, you generally have a better idea of yourself and, what you want to do as an artist or for a career, just all these things. Things start making sense. So, on that note, right? Um, Current and recent reads, music and games that I've been into that have really been inspiring include for the reads. I recently finished the novel Generation X by Douglas Coupland, I believe is how you say his name. And this is a kind of like experimental piece of literary fiction. It's very in line, like it's not Fight Club, but the tone of it, it's very Chuck Palahniuk. And it makes me mad that didn't read this book when I was on my Chuck Palahniuk kick when I was in middle school, because just they came out the same decade. So I think Fight Club, the novel, came out in 96, my birth year. And Gen X, the novel, came out in 91. And it's very artsy. It's very, what is it comparable to, bro? I know with one of my friends, we wanted to kind of compare and contrast it with the movie Chasing Amy in terms of how it talks about queerness and just like the whole Gen X, I don't give a fuck about things except for the things I really, really give a fuck about. Just kind of like the Daria disaffectiveness, right? I'm not describing it the best, but it's a really intriguing read. There are a lot of clever asides. The prose itself is wonderful. That's why I love literary fiction. It's beautiful. It has a lot of funny, fake definitions of words and terms on the side of it. Like the actual physical book is huge because I read it digitally and then I loved it so much I needed to own a copy. And the freaking thing, it feels like one of my textbooks, but it's a short read. It's less than 200 pages. So if you like literary fiction, if you're someone who likes Chuck Palahniuk, Daria, any of that kind of really, really Gen X type of thing, I think you'll enjoy it. Me as a freaking baby millennial Gen Z cusper, I mean, shoot, you see how I'm obsessed with Regine from Living Single, right? I love that era of media so much. And as I get to the ages of these people when they were young adults, these people who were at the height of their career and doing really interesting stuff in their late 20s, early 30s, and these characters that are in their late 20s and early 30s, it's just interesting to compare how it is being someone that age in 2026 versus how someone would have been in 1996. Um, the other read that I finished recently was the poetry book Soft Science by Franny Choi. The whole thing is science and technology themed, like very sci-fi. I remember seeing the opening poem on social media years and years ago, because this novel came out in 2019, and it was probably like 2019, 2020 that I seen the opening piece called Glossary of Terms. And I just really dug the formatting of that free verse piece. And finally, years later, I got myself a copy of it. And it wasn't until this last stretch of my degree that I finally finished the collection. Because I had taken a poetry workshop and some shit like that. And just, Choi is really, really interesting, very inspirational. Um, I like how poetry is almost like fucking drawing. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else, but something about poetry feels the way that it does when I'm drawing, like doing visual art. Um, when it comes to music, the big thing that was just, oh my goodness, between like late February and now was Dave East's project For the Love 2. I've heard of rapper Dave East for years and years and years, but I had never gotten around to actually listening to a full project from him till now. For the Love 2 just dropped on Valentine's Day, and that is what I wrote about on Substack. I was just gushing about it and trying to figure out what the main sample was for his song Commodores, because I could not tell if it was an existing sample, or if it was something that was kind of just the beat was made from scratch. So like it's the difference between on the same project on For the Love 2, Dave East has another thing that samples Don't Leave Me by Blackstreet. And that's a very overt thing. Like I know that song. There's another song on that project that samples what is it called? Oh my goodness, Outstanding by the Gap Band. But this song, Commodores, I'm like, that's not a Commodore song, is it? Don't drag me if you know your R&B better than I do. But it was reminding me of like when J. Cole No Role Models came out, and a lot of us thought that the beat was like it was some like cool obscure sample, and then we find out that the guy who was the main producer on it, he just built that from scratch. Like the trumpet noise is not from like a specific song. Like he built it, he put the bird sound in there, everything. So For the Love To is just, oh my God, it just reminds me of what I love about hip hop. Um, the other musician I've been geeking over lately is experimental pianist Precious Renee Tucker. And I'm someone who found out about her through Instagram. I was seeing her stuff pop up on Instagram. And at first, I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Not that I don't know what experimental stuff is, but I was like, I don't see the vision. And then after I seen her a little bit more, and then I would close my eyes sometimes when I listen and just really opening my mind to what she's trying to do with these soundscapes. Man, between her aesthetics, the fact that she is a big ol' black woman around my age, I believe there's a Dazed Digital article I could not get my printer to print out, but it mentioned she's from Arkansas, one of my best homies and one of my greatest like artistic friends and inspirations is from Arkansas too. She is into STEM. But she's someone who likes merging like her STEM knowledge and experience and feelings with her spirituality, which I dig when people marry that in a way that is not anti-science or anti-religion. It's just, she is a moment, and she is the kind of person I aspire to be, man. She played clarinet in the band. I played clarinet, bro. Like, but she did orchestra as well. Like I'm finna link the Dazed article because she's just a visionary. She's been blowing up on TikTok as well and all kind of other social media. Apparently she's done events for Telfar, the designer, bro. Telfar, like she has Solange Knowles' seal of approval. Apparently, she's just watch out for Precious Renee Tucker, man. And then finally, the games, because I mentioned it was books, movies, music and games. Um, it's so many games I put on pause on my Switch, but I've been getting back into AEW Fight Forever, the wrestling game. And I'm not the biggest sports person, with gaming specifically, but like getting back into sports, between wrestling and basketball, over the last year has just made me go back down like sports game rabbit hole. And AEW Fight Forever it's a pretty average game. And I know when it came out, it was mad expensive and people were mad because it's really not a fucking $50 game, but I think I got it on sale for $15 or something. It was less than $20 when I got it finally. And for that price, I thought it's fun. It's just a fun little freaking wrestling sim, where I can pretend like I'm on the AEW roster. And as someone who low key aspires to one day be on the indies, and just do kind of similar shit to what they be doing, it just kind of has me geeked. But that's a story for another day. Um, but yeah, with like the wrestling and like sports game drama, it was just making me think about what's been going on with WWE 2K26. I read a Game Informer article talking about it where the writer, it's from senior associate editor Marcus Stewart on March 12th of this year. He basically summarizes it as like the story mode being super grindy, which is what I've heard from so many other fans and the audience for this game. He says the My Rise story mode is grindy. and they implemented this freaking Fortnite battle pass thing. Like, if you're any kind of gaming fan, you've heard of this concept of battle pass, if not have paid for it before. And just there's so many reasons why it's just not consumer friendly. um so a lot of people don't like their version of the battle pass in this 2K game. And just in general, I really like this last bit he has. So Stewart says, quote, "Art is starting to imitate life. It's never been more expensive to consume the WWE product, thanks to sky-high ticket prices and the pricey streaming subscriptions required to even watch everything. My feelings while playing 2K26 began to mirror my current relationship with the on-screen product. Still enjoyable, but the negatives are catching up to the positives." And I haven't played the game, but I can totally see where that's coming from. I can. I grew up on things like NBA and NFL Street, like from the 2000s. And then, if anybody remembers Backyard Baseball and like that whole series of like backyard insert sport here for PC, like the CD-ROM games, that was my shit growing up. I never really played online. I never really got into like a lot of these 2K games, but I've heard the drama for years and years and years, man. I've heard the drama, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse for the consumer as time goes on. Um in like a somber note about real world shit, we're talking about the world and future of this channel. Obviously, the state of the world, there's no real time that the world is at total peace, right? It's always some shit going down. And we know the US in particular, and the US's people acting on behalf of the US and in conjunction with the US. We've been on some fuck shit, some major fuck shit. One thing that it's a lot for everyone to process, but especially the people who are the victims, the people who are fucking getting bombed and all this shit, right? So that's why when it's people who are not in these active zones getting attacked, I think it's not the most tactful when people say this is just a distraction from Epstein or just a distraction from other major thing that's going on, because I understand what people are trying to say, but also like other people suffering, losing their lives, having their homes and economies destabilized is not just a distraction. It's also our world powers doing bullshit. If this is making sense. I'm no politician, I'm just one bitch, but I just know that we need to make sure that we're remembering to humanize civilians that are suffering the most under these different regimes. Um, that's all I could say, and we can strive towards a better future and try our best to stay united against these terrible freaking forces, man. In terms of me with this channel, we're going to remain here. But I want to do a bit of a rebrand. I think this is going to be the last episode of Record FM, but it won't be the last audio only thing I do. It won't be the last geeky or podcasty thing I do, but I'm wanting to drift more towards making individual videos about like dedicated topics, just for more organization. And I just think that's where things are headed. This was a wonderful diary project and experiment, and I love, love, love everyone who was along for the ride between fall and now. I'll leave y'all with some resource recs and the outro, just a reminder to get your news from a variety of sources. And that, I mean, all across the political spectrum, so you know what everybody else is thinking. Get from local, national, and international, and that's going to vary based on where you live, obviously. Have a few alerts on your phone, check things periodically, but don't be like glued doom scrolling. Unless, of course, like, I mean, you don't need me to tell you this, but if it's something where like your family is somewhere, or heaven forbid, you are fucking in a fucking crisis mode, like obviously you need to keep more up to date minute by minute. But besides that, I think I will also leave link to what I use to make these little rudimentary videos. And it's really, girl, it's my Android phone and a free recording app. It's DaVinci Resolve or any video editor you need, but I just happen to have DaVinci free, and Canva. So Android for the audio, DaVinci for putting audio and the picture thumbnail together, Canva for actually creating the thumbnail and the little listicle pictures I have running for the whole playlist. Oh my goodness. It is 10 p.m. now. The goal is to see if I can somehow listen back to this, do my timestamps, make a thumbnail, and get this thing up so that it still counts as Friday the 13th. And if it don't, well, I recorded it on Friday the 13th. Anyway, thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for sticking here. I hope you are safe. I hope you are whole. And, let's just keep going.